Hey everyone, this is Tame the Change with the Interim Expert Team. Today we have Dan Nicholson, who is the president and CEO of NadaMoo. He is one of Austin's best success stories and a leader of the CPG space. I will go ahead and turn it over to him.
Yeah, thanks so much for that intro. I appreciate that, Parker.
Thank you for being here today. So right off the bat, how did you get into the CPG space and specifically like the food market?
Yeah, that's a great question. So real quick, I studied mechanical engineering at the University of Texas, which is perfect. I mean, if you want to go into ice cream, study mechanical engineering. It's a no-brainer, right? No, but I studied on a more serious note. Yeah, I studied mechanical engineering. My first job out of undergrad, I actually moved to Madrid, Spain, and worked for a renewable energy company, mostly focused on the wind power space. Spent about a year there, got to travel, got to immerse myself in Spanish culture, which was incredible. And knew that once that stint or once that period of time was done, that I would be moving back to Austin to find out, what my next real career step would be. So I enjoyed all of that time, really enjoyed working in renewable energy, sustainable energy, which, you could probably kind of tell how the themes of sustainability kind of led me here. So I moved back to Austin. I'll try to be quick with it because it's about a 15-year-old story. So moved back to Austin, was just reconnecting with my friends and family network. And it just so happened that a very close friend of my family's knew the founder of NadaMoo very well. The company was founded in 2005. I had just moved back to Austin in 2008 from Spain. And right around that time, the company NadaMoo was looking to raise capital. They were looking for some help on the back end, kind of on the ops side, on the accounting side. And so because this close friend of my family had this relationship, and he knew that I was so passionate about sustainability and about the environment and about health and wellness, he thought that it would be a good idea that I met the founder. And so set that meeting up, and I'll never forget, I go to this meeting and I'm served a bowl of NadaMoo, the maple pecan flavor. And I'm trying the product for the first time, and my mind was just blown. I was totally shocked that this ice cream product, without any dairy in it, fully plant-based, lower cholesterol, sugar, carbs, was so good, so indulgent, so much like the real thing. And I remember as we were wrapping that meeting up, I couldn't help but just ask the founder, like, how can I help? I love what you're doing. I love this product. I love the brand name NadaMoo. It spoke to me. I grew up speaking English and Spanish, so NadaMoo was kind of a no-brainer brand-wise for me too. And she needed help. The team at the time needed help. They were looking to raise capital, which I was able to help them do. And they also needed help on the accounting side and operations side. And that's really where my engineering background, which, to really overgeneralize engineering, it's really just problem solving. And I have a fairly analytical mind, and so jumped in and just started trying to help the company in any way possible back in 2008. And here we are about 13 years later, still going.
That's so cool. So how have you seen the industry change since you started? Because I mean, even in the last year, there's been such a jump towards sustainability and plant-based products. Like the freezer shelves are full, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How have you seen kind of people's mindsets change and adapt? And has that kind of been a really cool and exciting process?
Yeah, I mean, I say all the time, I feel like I was born and baptized in this industry, because when I entered it, it was just there there wasn't this buzz around CPG that there is today, first of all. We were super early stage to plant-based, to dairy-free. I mean, they're really, people were starting to figure out that lactose intolerance was kind of a thing. I think it has since become a much larger thing, much larger issue. Plant-based still wasn't even talked about very much. It wasn't talked about very much outside of the very specific vegan community, which has always kind of been around and continues to grow and gain steam. And so when the company came to be in 2005, even before I was involved, you could imagine how difficult this was to be selling a dairy-free, plant-based ice cream product in the state of Texas. Yeah. Like this is a big dairy state. This is a big agricultural state. And so we were trying to sell ice to Eskimos, right? Like it wasn't the easiest thing to do. But luckily, I feel like we always had our minds and our hearts in the right place. I think we wanted to create a lot of positive impact and mindfulness and awareness around health and wellness and sustainability. And I think having stuck to those core values throughout this 15-year period, I think has continued to set us apart in a world where there are so many new entrants coming into the space. Right now, the market size is much larger. The dairy-free business is larger. The alt dairy space and plant-based. Like those are two of the largest trends, kind of driving the future of our consumption forward. And so naturally, there's a business opportunity now that nobody really saw so early the way that we did. But now that it's there, that's when big money comes into the fold and really begins to propel industries forward. And I think the fact that we've been doing it so long has been a tremendous has tremendously benefited us because we had a lot of time to more slowly figure out the business and the intricacies of it. And and now the market meeting us where we've been for a 15-year period has helped continue to accelerate the strong company and the strong brand that we built so long ago. It's very, very different today than when we first got started, and I think we'll continue to see a change and shift, and that's where adaptability becomes so important for an entrepreneur, for a team of people who are trying to kind of go out there and win against all odds.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like in the last year specifically, we've seen a lot of people have more time to look inward and not only the things that they're putting into their body, but their own health as a whole. Do you feel like that since the pandemic specifically, you've seen a change in the type of attention NadaMoo as a plant-based company is receiving?
I think from an attention standpoint, definitely, right? Or at least there continues to be a good story out there in the marketplace that is leading us to believe that is the case. I think it's true. I think a lot of people, if they weren't mindful before the pandemic about their own dietary practices, I think they're more aware of it now than ever before. So, but there's that awareness, like there's the mindfulness and awareness piece, and then there's the actual action piece, right? Yeah. Those are two very different things. And so I think it's incredible that we're probably at an all-time high from an awareness standpoint. We just need more and more people to walk the walk. That's always been an issue in our society, right? A lot of people say a lot of things, and when it comes down to doing it, that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so we've seen awareness definitely rise. Everybody's talking about how, the pandemic, but part of the reasons that the pandemic came to be is because of diet, right? Like it was birthed, it started in an animal and transferred to humans through consumption. And so there's a lot of people out there who believe that this will continue to happen as we move forward if we're not careful. And so I think naturally that's going to make people more and more skeptical about how much, the quality and how much animal products they are putting into their body. What I will say is, although awareness is at an all-time high, I really do feel like, especially in a category like ours, we've seen the data. There's a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression out there in the world. And what do people usually do if they're not careful, and then they feel those sorts of things? They eat their sorrows away, and they want to eat the most indulgent, most comfort type foods out there. And so we've seen dairy ice cream sales in this short period go up and out the roof. And it's, for someone who has worked so hard to be a part of the dairy-free movement, to see in this moment in time when anxiety, depression, fear, all those things are in play, to see people revert back to consuming more ice cream, like more dairy ice cream than ever. It's a little can be sad to see, but we are very interesting creatures as humans, and I think we believe that it'll be a short term. This is going to be a short term thing before people revert back to their positive progression. And we're there. We're there and ready to serve those people when they are ready to take action and not just be more mindful and aware of the state of the world we're living in.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that's kind of we've seen throughout the state of the pandemic is that everybody's in that point in their life, if they hadn't been already, where they realize that they're not invincible, right? Where we're all vulnerable, and our actions actually matter. Like, we can't just eat whatever we want. We can't just keep treating the planet like garbage. And you mentioned earlier how you had always been interested in sustainability, and during the pandemic, you guys have actually released some products that kind of support that. Do you want to talk a little bit about your new organic products and the sustainable packaging?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the root of everything we do, especially as we've grown in scale and really understand the impact that we can create in the marketplace. Like, we've been really focused on our organic supply chain since the inception of the company. We believe that soil health practices at the level of the farm are, key to the sustainability movement. And that's why organic's so important to us. In 2020, when we launched our rebrand and brought our more sustainable packaging into the fold, it was mostly about understanding that we knew the ingredients and the product that we had put out there. We're already doing a great job of working on that sustainability problem, but our packaging, we still hadn't, the market and the material offerings on the packaging side hadn't really caught up to where we wanted to be too as a company on the packaging side, because trash and waste, as we all know, is a big part of the problem too. And so we worked with our packaging partners, who finally were able to find a partner that was able to provide us with, it's still pretty much the same type of package. It's made up of paper and plastic. It's a composite, but the paper is harvested only from sustainably managed forests, where trees are being grown faster than they are being utilized. And same thing goes for the main raw material that goes into the plastic coating is from a sugarcane bio-resin. And those sugarcane crops are also sustainably managed as well. It's a source that is regenerating itself faster than the material is being used. And so as of right now, that really is the best standard in our package. We want to go further, right? We want to go to compostable. We want to go to the points where you can bury the package in your backyard. If you want to dig a hole and just put your trash in it, it'll disintegrate, in a matter of years, if not sooner. There's going to continue to be these evolutions, but we depend on a lot of our supplier partners to hold up their end of the bargain too. And that's where, we need to begin to understand it's not just about NadaMoo. We want to do our part, but it's about everybody else that we're working with on the ingredient side, on the packaging side, on the, even freight and logistics side going into the future. Where can we do a better job and really raise the standards for the practices that are going to help create a more sustainable future?
I love that. And I love that you brought up the fact that it's also your partners too. Like, I think there's a whole lot of, everybody talks about the greenwashing in the industry, right? I don't know if you ever watched the show, The Good Place.
I haven't. I watch very little TV.
That's why you're successful. And it's not the best show in the world, honestly, to me, but they bring up a point where everybody seems to be getting like dinged because they find out that depending on where they got the tomato was actually hurting the planet and hurting a bunch of people. But it's hard to tell. Like, there's so many things that you don't know. There's so many hidden stories to every part of the process, right? And I think it's really cool that you're actually focusing on that and like looking at your partners at an in-depth level.
Yeah, it's important. When we're a certified B Corp, right? Like, by definition, we are already holding ourselves to the highest standards in business right now that support a more sustainable future. And so if we want to do that, or because we have decided that, it's important for us to align ourselves with like-minded people. And because when we grow, if we all grow together, the impact is multiplied, right? The impact is multiplied outside of what just NadaMoo can do. And yeah, we've looked at whether you're an ingredient partner or a co-packing partner that manufactures our product, or a packaging partner, these are all partnerships. We're getting to meet these people. We really, because we've been at it for 15 years, we understand that relationships are one of the most powerful forces in business. And so we really take it, we really take it seriously to develop these relationships and find partners who want to build better business practices. And it's not always easy to the points that you're making, but in every case, we're kicking the tires on everything, turning over all the stones, and naturally we just want to work with like-minded people that we can grow with and that we can multiply our impact with.
Absolutely. I love that.
I know that there's a kind of large push towards specifically carbon neutrality right now, and producing a carbon neutral product. Aside from that, and it's a bit of a loaded question, but what's around the corner for NadaMoo, and maybe what's ahead for the plant-based industry as a whole?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think carbon neutrality is a huge movement. For a small company like ours, it's like, who takes on the project that is, calculating our actual neutrality, or, are we carbon positive? Are we negative? Are we neutral? And so, we're totally interested in those things. I think we'll continue to push forward in that direction. It's just sometimes it's finding the time and the energy to take those tasks head on. But I think, for NadaMoo, what we are really focused on right now is more marketing and more product development. We've built a really solid business over a 15-year period on a single product line by launching new flavors. That's been our game for 15 years. Well, just recently, just weeks ago, we announced our very first new product line ever, right? We launched a no sugar added line, which is a totally different formulation from our initial core product line. And so that's a huge step. That's a huge step for us. It's us showing the market that we know what we're doing, and we're ready to start having a little more fun on the product side. And so for us, the market will see more products out of us, which is exciting. That's where the fun is. The fun is in the product launches. It's also a lot of work. It's extremely taxing on our team, but we know that that's the direction that we need to go in, to make sure that we are adding value to our customers in every way possible. Maybe even not just in the ice cream category, And so that's, that's where our mind is at. Our mind is also on marketing. We've, for 15 years, we've built this brand on almost no marketing. Like even last year in 2020, if people looked at our marketing budget, they'd be like, how are you doing this? And I think it's just, it's kudos to our team for just doing everything very organically. We did a lot of demos in the early days, very active on social media. We put out great social media content. But we're still on a tiny marketing budget. And so I think as we look to the future, we understand that if we are going to go out there and compete with the other, largest ice cream brands in the world or largest alt dairy brands in the world, we're going to have to beef up our marketing game to make sure that we can accelerate the rate at which we are putting our brand in front of new customers and giving them that opportunity to discover us and to give us a try. And when people try it, they're all about it. That's all we have to do is get more people to try it as quickly as possible. And that for us is kind of that's our game plan. I mean, I don't mind giving up the entire strategy and game plan because it's simple, it's easy. And we're just going to stay focused on it. As far as plant-based as a whole, I mean, we're in the infancy. We are in the infancy of this market opportunity. And that's why we feel very confident about the way that we are positioned. And we just need to go out there and continue executing. I think, whether it's alt dairy or alt meats or now cell-based stuff, don't even get me started on that because I don't really like it myself. I think, I think we're at the tip of the iceberg, and it's going to be really exciting to see how things continue to progress and evolve, and hopefully the consumer, like we were talking about, begins to more actively adopt, these lifestyle changes that, when done by the masses, again, create incredible impact on the planet. And I think we all want to keep living here, right?
Absolutely. And I think one thing that you really kind of hit on early with saying you don't care about sharing your plans about what you're doing, it's because you created such a good foundation by creating a good product, which not enough people do. I mean, I love that when you look at the back, you recognize most of the ingredients. And when people talk about NadaMoo, the thing that sets y'all apart is the fact that people don't just say, that's a good dairy-free ice cream. They say, that's good ice cream.
It's good ice cream.
Right? And that's what matters.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the movement towards mental health has any kind of impact on the plant-based industry? Because there have been so many studies on how eating dairy-free actually helps with depression. It can help with autism. It can help with so many different things in the gut-brain connection. Do you feel like people are actually investing in their mental health by eating NadaMoo? And I know this is a reach.
I mean, I do. I'm a firm believer that people with very animal-focused diets from poor sources, from poor supply, I believe that we're consuming the emotion of that animal. I think there's a direct connection between depression and anxiety and diet. A lot of these animals, especially in factory farming type of setups, are living in a constant state of fear and anxiety. They're very sad. They're disconnected from their families. And I believe there's a very strong correlation between the rising numbers in anxiety and depression in our country and in our world and the diet that we are choosing. I mean, it's clear as day to me. A lot of people might not agree with that concept, but I can't imagine how we have gotten here if not for those reasons. And yeah, so I do, when we talk about mindfulness, my mindfulness is, where is your mind, right? Where is your mind when you are making these decisions? And how deeply are you thinking through them? How connected are you with the process down at the farm level, down at the level of where some of these animals are being harvested? Like, Are you thinking about those things? Because if you're not being mindful, and there can be negative, there can be some negative reactions to those decisions that we make. And so to me, yeah, the mindfulness movement, it goes hand in hand with plant-based. I know when I eat plants, when I eat more plants, I know how much better I feel. I know how much more connected I feel to to nature and to the planet. And yeah, I think it all goes together. We need to start looking at our whole selves and how we interact with the larger world around us. And we need to get to a more pure place where we're thinking about all of these things and making decisions for the betterment of all of us, and not just our own selfish, wants in that moment.
I love it. I feel like, I don't know why, but during that kind of what you were talking about, I had in my head this amazing kind of illustration of Dan's mechanical engineering view of how we process things from the beginning to now to the farm, to kind of how our emotions come out and how we react. And I love that your analytical brain kind of brings you here through ice cream, right?
It's so wild. I mean, it has been an incredible journey to date. And yeah, to start from such a technical background like engineering, and now to running an ice cream company and working with all sorts of incredible people, our creative team, our sales team, our ops team, our accounting team. Like I love just seeing how different and diverse, even within this small team of 20 people, I love seeing how people think. I love seeing, what makes them tick, what makes them go, like seeing how different people communicate. But in the end, we all have to come together. And so, yeah, I think about our team as this little microcosm of society, and we're all so interconnected, and we all just need to be, better stewards of the planet. Like that, we all owe it to each other to understand each other a little bit better, so that we can develop some understanding and perspective and harmony. And I think that's really what's going to propel us forward, as we approach the future.
Absolutely. Do you feel like after the pandemic is over, or as over as it'll ever be, do you feel like we are going to see kind of people move away completely from dairy and from animal products, maybe in the next 10, 15 years? And
I kind of envision this future. I don't believe in a future where there is no more dairy consumption, right? Or there is no more animal, no more meat consumption. I don't think that will ever happen. I actually think it might be healthy to strike more of a balance, but what I do envision is a future where the sources and the supplies of those products go back to the most natural state.
right.
Right? Like let's go back to, or, if we're consuming dairy that is all organic, grass-fed, raised on regenerative farms. Like I think that like there is a place for dairy at that level within our future society. Same thing with meat. Like if people are going to continue eating meat, and I believe they will, it's going to be a much different supply chain look, right? Like they're going to be properly treated. They're going to be on farms that are regeneratively cared for. And like there are farming operations that can be carbon neutral, or even carbon negative. It's going to take some really serious problem solving on the side of farmers, and it's going to take government regulation to support those practices and push us in that direction. It's going to take capital investment from the capital markets. Like that to me is the future. We're going to be eating a lot more plants. It's funny because I always make the energy analogy, right? I started my career in renewable energy. I don't envision a future with zero fossil fuels. It's just not going to happen. Oil and gas and coal are always going to be there. But there will be a day when we are powered more from renewable sources like solar, like wind, nuclear might even have a seat at the table because it's important. And so, yeah, I look at food as like, what is the portfolio of food going to look like in order to be living out a more sustainable society? And yeah, I think dairy and meat will still be there. It's going to be much smaller, and the the quality of the supply will be substantially better. We'll go back to, the foundation of when we started consuming animals. That's my hope. That's my vision. And we'll see. Only time will tell.
I love that. I think that's a really realistic point of view that I think a lot of people in the industry don't share. So I think that that's great that you're thinking that way. I love it.
I mean, I might be too optimistic and logical sometimes, but yeah, I really do. I think that there's room for, a seat at the table from all parties with a vested interest. We're going to have to look at the importance of how we handle all of it and bring it all together, so that people have, so that people are food secure, and that they have access to the quality of foods that are going to, feed our bodies and our minds in a way that brings us together.
Absolutely. And making it more accessible to kind of everyone as we grow,
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I really enjoyed your comparison to kind of our energy sources, right? And the way that, because I agree with you. I think it's hard and it's more idealistic, right, to envision a world where it's just one form of energy, one form of food intake, etc. So I think balance is the key that hopefully we can get closer to.
Yeah, but hopefully in the ice cream space, it'll only be NadaMoo, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. I know if I'm going to eat my feelings, that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dan. We really, really appreciate this and you coming to chat with us today. I hope that also congratulations on the sugar-free line. That's huge, huge, huge.
Thank you.
I hope that NadaMoo continues to see wonderful success, and you'll always have a place in Kana and I's hearts for being, an Austin story, an Austin-born company. So thank you again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate y'all's time and thank you for this opportunity to share.
Definitely. Is there anything else coming up for NadaMoo that we should kind of let people know about, or where people should come to the scoop shop, or?
Yeah. I mean, for all the Austin listeners, or for people who enjoy traveling to Austin, which is a lot, right? I think we have a pretty cool city to call home. Absolutely. We'd love to have you all at our scoop shop. It's the only one in the world. It's attached to our headquarter office, and it's a place where we like to play with a lot of seasonal items that cannot be found anywhere else on the market. And so we would, definitely encourage anybody, if you're in Austin or if you're traveling to Austin, to come check us out. See all those things. Some of them will never see the market, but that's what it's all about. It's about us testing things, finding out what people like, what people are interested in, and it's kind of a place where we get to have more fun and bring the brand to life in a physical space. And so. For sure, scoop shop would be a big plus, and of course, if you haven't had our product before, by all means, find a grocery store close to you that carries it. We have a great find a store link on our webpage, and so put a zip code in, do a quick search, and there should be NadaMoo close to just about anybody here that would be listening.
Fantastic. Well, I know I'm going to be coming down there this weekend, so.
Awesome.
The beautiful weather. There's no way I won't be.
I know it's nice to see this weather through the winter months, especially in the scoop shop. It's rough. Like Texans get cold when it drops, below 50.
Yeah.
Very, very little ice cream consumption, especially in retail format, happens at that point. So it's good that the sun's coming out for us, and look forward to serving anybody who comes.
Definitely. Well, we look forward to eating more.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking more with you in the future.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.